Hey guys, it's Allan&Hoostan back with Allan&Hoostan&Who. I'm Hoostan.
And I'm Allan.
Took him long enough. Anyways, in today's Allan&Hoostan&Who, we're going to be talking about another artist. As you know, Allan&Hoostan&Who is AJ Explain.
So, the Allan&Hoostan&Who is, it's kind of like the podcast, our main podcast, but we're kind of like dividing up as two different concepts. So with the podcast, we talk about like a whole majority of something. With Allan&Hoostan&Who, we talk about a certain thing and we really dive deep into that. So we tried different topics with that and it didn't work, so we stick with music. So how we do with music is we each go back and forth showing us an artist that neither of us ever heard of. We see some of their stuff and we give our thoughts.
Yep. So it's pretty much like the regular podcast, except, it gives us a chance to talk about a lot of the guys that we like. As you know, when we do our podcast, we talk about a lot of actors, actresses, and even musicians. Not even just singers and drummers and stuff like. You're going to think that there's also some amazing bass players, some amazing sound engineers,
Guitar players.
Exact. People that work behind the scenes, even people that do the cover art on some of your favorite albums. These are people that we want to bring to your attention and actually kind of showcase a lot of their work because they are artists nonetheless, all of them, whether they actually physically draw, they do a performance, whether on screen or on the radio. So that's what this show is all about, talking about our favorite artists. And in today's video, we're going to be talking, the podcast actually, not video. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite artists who I've yet to really finish their discography, but I'm getting there very slowly. I think I'm about 9 albums down. Talking about the Mr. Dan Fogelberg. This guy is one of my favorites. So for those who do not know what Dan Fogelberg is or who he is or was a singer who did a multitude of genres, mainly comprised into rock. He did soft rock, some folk rock. He did a mixture of jazz, believe it or not. He was a very well-rounded guy and had a hell of a voice. So yeah, I guess that's really how I want to start it off. So as you guys already know with the way we did in the last episode, I am going to have AJ listen to a few songs of my choice by Mr. Fogelberg, and then he will have his live reactions right in front of the camera to you, so you actually see like how he, what he thinks of the song in the moment. And then when we're finished with our 5 songs or whatever it is, we'll recap and we'll communicate about what we think about Fogelberg's music. So, are you ready?
Yep, I know one song. That's it, but I'm willing to, try some more because I actually like his voice. Definitely like his voice, and seems like an artist that never really gets mentioned a lot, especially in the rock idiom around the era of the 70s. So I'm ready.
Any before you listen to him thoroughly, anything you want to say as to what you expect from Mr. Fogelberg?
From what you've shown me so far, I'm probably expecting more of like that soft rock kind of vibe. Because I know like he's kind of on the same path as like the Eagles. Because I know a lot of his work you've told me, especially one album, I believe it's called Souvenirs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was produced by Joe Walsh, and there's the one song I like. It's called Better Change. Joe Walsh and Don Henley provide background vocals. So I'm probably gonna expect that kind of vibe, but I might be totally surprised if he does something a little different. So,
all right, sounds good.
You do like snippets. You don't have to, like last time, instead of hearing the whole song because you're not gonna hear it because that's how we're doing it. Just give me like some snippets. But yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So the first song we're gonna be having AJ listen to is a song that is actually more or less considered a I think I'll just show it to him and then I'll explain it. We have our first song, Same Old Lang Syne. So this song is commonly referred to as a Christmas song. However, it is not. It just takes place during Christmas. And it is, you can actually listen to it all year round. The song itself comprises of Dan Fogelberg meeting up with an old girlfriend of his in his hometown, and they kind of reminisce about the good times they had. It's kind of a little soft ballad. I think it was kind of a really good song to kind of showcase Fogelberg's spectacular singing range. So AJ's thinking thoroughly.
I'm like actively listening. Like I'm not trying to like headbutt my head. I'm just trying to zone into the music.
Obviously, I think it goes without saying, we can't. The reason the volume's so low is so that way, obviously, you're going to get copyrighted. The whole point really isn't so much for the music. Now, the music is, of course, very important to the podcast, but really we want to kind of see very accurately, right in front of your eyes, without any editing, how AJ actually feels about this song or the songs. So, all right.
I actually like that. That was him playing the piano, right?
I want to say so.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Definitely has that great vocal range. He has that really soft voice. You know, the instruments in the background kind of showcases that kind of like soft rock type of vibe that he brings, like the Eagles, but he does it in his own kind of thing.
He does do piano, by the way.
Okay, so he was phenomenal piano work by Dan. And good vocals. Yeah, I like that. For the first song to Shown, I actually like that. Yeah, it was very good.
Perfect. Up next, we have a song that is actually a cover of a song by a band called the Cascades. This is a song that AJ has actually heard before. However, it is so good that I kind of also want to put it on again. We put it on as background music, so I don't know if AJ actually actively heard it, but we're going to kind of give it another shot, and we're going to see. Actually, you know what? He already heard it. You know what? We're going to do a song that he hasn't heard and what's considered Dan Fogelberg's best song, Leader of the Band. Now, this song, for those who are listening, is a song that Dan Fogelberg created for his father, who I don't really want to spread misinformation. I was going to say, I think his father was a part of the band, or a band, but all I know is he definitely did make this for his father. His father was alive, but he still dedicated to his father when his father was alive. His father later passed on, of course, but the song was in remembrance of his father. I think the song has a bigger focus on vocal range than instruments. More somber, too. Oh, yeah. So while AJ is listening, what I would say is invite you guys to, of course, listen to these songs as well. You know, give them a shot. Let us know what you guys think when you guys heard them. How does your opinion vary from AJ's, or is it similar? Be very curious to see what you guys think down below in the description. But I see AJ's nodding his head, so I think AJ's getting into the music. I think this is a good part.
Wow. I especially like that part. Like, I'm a legacy, or for whatever, the leader of the living band. I like the harmonizing vocals in the background.
I have the lyric if you need it. I'm just a living legacy.
I'm just a living legacy of the leader of the band. Yeah, I thought it was very good. Nice tribute to his father, because I know you're telling me it was a tribute to his father. I really do like the when the harmonizing backing vocals kind of, unless they layer different parts of his vocals together, whatever they did, I like that. That's what really got me swaying my head back and forth. Yeah, so far the 2 songs you showed me, he's really a captivating artist. I really think that, he's very unique, and I think that this is something that I never would expect, and this was kind of coming from an area of rock that I never really would go listen to. But it's very good. It was very good.
So I'm trying something new. We're innovating right before your very eyes here for this show. Something to kind of go over while obviously you have the listener, but also you have the guy, me this time. Obviously you had AJ last time. We're just kind of sitting here. So to give us something to do, we're going to be using Wikipedia, and we're going to kind of give you information about the songs that the listener is listening to while they are listening to it. So without further ado, we're going to get into a song written by Dan Fogelberg that was released in 1979. We are talking, of course, about Dan Fogelberg's Longer. Now, this song is written to be, kind of like a lot of his songs, it is meant to be a lot slower. I think he did a really good job with the song, to be honest. Let's see, what else we got? What's really cool about this song, one of the main reasons why I wanted to go into the Wikipedia page is because I wanted to find out what the name of that instrument was that was played towards the middle of the song, and it's called a flugelhorn, and that's one of those instruments you really don't hear all too much. And AJ, when it gets to the part, let me know what you think. I'd be very curious to see what you think about it. It's kind of a interesting instrument to use. Let's see, of course. For personnel, those are curious, you have Dan Fogelberg on vocals and acoustic guitar. You have a man called Jerry Hay on flugelhorn and Gail, I think I probably mispronounced that, Gail Levant on the harp. So very cool. So let's see what else we got. It spent 2 weeks at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in March 1980, which is kind of cool. Let's see. Longer. Let's see. Longer was Dan Fogelberg's only song to reach the UK single chart, where it peaked at number 59. So, you hear that?
Yeah.
So that's a flugelhorn. Very interesting choice. What do you think of that one, AJ?
What was very interesting when I first heard the first few chords from the acoustic guitar, kind of reminded me of "Stairway to Heaven" by Led Zeppelin, and then it moved into this more orchestral, mellowish, vibe with like the harp in the background and the orchestral mood to it, and of course, his vocals are great. So yeah, I thought that was a really good song. I think I like the tribute one to his father.
Yeah, that one, right? That one's good. Let me see. So the next one, I am loading it up currently, is one of my favorite songs. Well, another one of my favorite songs by Dan Fogelberg, which I seem like I cannot actually find any information on it. So I will just have to kind of go off the top of my head here. But this is off his album Netherlands. It is the third track. We got Dan Fogelberg's Dancing Shoes. So this song uses a lot of acoustic guitar, and you have, of course, Dan Fogelberg singing. I think this is one of those songs that is quite mesmerizing, kind of on the same caliber as Leader of the Band. It has the same level of emotionality behind it. Of course, it doesn't have that the whole thing of the dedication to someone to back it up like how Leader of the Band does. However, I feel like Dancing Shoes, when I first heard it, was one of those songs that I knew I would be listening to many, many times, just because there's just an otherworldly vibe to it, which I don't really know how else to put it. I'm going to skip ahead quite a bit, just so I can show you the mesmerizing part. So you can hear what AJ's hearing currently is basically 2 minutes into the song. You have Dan Fogelberg doing sort of like a harmony. There's like a nice echoing sound that they've added to it. It almost kind of sounds like a lullaby, which is very interesting because really just the delivery of his lines and the music, it has an overall whimsy that really can't be replicated by many other artists. So, what do you think of that one?
It was good. That section that you fast forwarded to, I like the little like ting-rings in the background. I don't know if that was a tambourine or something, but I like that. I like that. It was really good.
Not bad. Let's see. I'm trying to find. All right, we're gonna do one off of his 1975 album Captured Angel, which we're going to play next time. It is the 5th track on the album. This one I like because it kind of reminds me of Elton John, especially with like the heavy piano presence in the song.
And a mix of Billy Joel too.
Yeah, right. You hear, yeah. But I think like even his voices, his voices. What am I saying? His voice reminds me a lot of like Elton John's delivery of his vocals. So when I hear this song, I kind of forget it's Dan Fogelberg, and I do think it's Elton John. That is no disrespect to Dan Fogelberg. I love his voice, and I like Elton John's voice as well. Honestly, I kind of just throwing it out there while AJ's listening. I'd love to do one on Elton John. That's a guy who has an extensive discography. So it'd be really nice to do him on the show sometime in the near future, as well as he said Billy Joel, another very talented artist that I would love to also feature on the show, and I'm sure AJ would probably back me up as well. I guess so. But that's the point of the show, is so we're actually technically all learning here. Not only are you guys kind of learning about the songs and learning more about us as people who like what songs we listen to. But we actually learn as friends about one another, our interests, and what specific songs from each artist we like, and we also get to kind of like hear what are each other like what we like, So, anyways, AJ's finished with next time. So, what do you think, AJ?
It was good. I like the placement of the guitar, acoustic guitar, when that comes in.
Yep.
The song was arranged really good from the point that I was listening to. It's just his vocals. Definitely, you can hear like a cross between Billy Joel and Elton John. Maybe at some point in his career, maybe Dan got some influence from them. Maybe incorporated his own thing, but like you were saying, not to take away his talent. I mean, Fogelberg is kind of in a league of his own, but it's just, again, when you hear certain songs, you can think of Elton John and Billy Joel. But I thought it was really good. I think that tribute one to his father was the one that stood out to me the most. But all these other songs are pretty decent. I don't know if there was any other songs from the Souvenirs album that are favorites, because because if I like Better Change, there's probably other songs I like from there.
I got some songs. Oh, crap. All right, let's do it. Souvenirs. It's been a while since I've actually heard this specific song, so forgive me. This is the title track for Souvenirs album. That's right. Okay, so I can kind of hear from over here. So I think that I actually really like Souvenirs as an album. I think it's very well put together. Of course, you got the magnificent Joe Walsh behind a good amount of the songs. But then you also see Dan Fogelberg kind of in his element, like him kind of rising to the tops. These are, I don't know how to really explain it. Souvenirs, I think, is a perfect example of Dan Fogelberg kind of reaching that point. That, in my opinion, I think his peak, where he would hit his peak. And I think personally, one of my favorite albums is Innocent Age. Now, I've actually haven't went through Innocent Age entirely, but I heard a good amount of the tracks on there, and I love the overall sound of that. Same Old Langston was actually the very first Dan Fogelberg song I ever heard. And from that song alone, I was able to go further, and further into his discography. And, well, here we are kind of going through the albums there. All right. What do you think of that one? Souvenirs.
So I think, like, with that album, a lot of contribution of a lot of the guys from the Eagles. Don Henley, of course, Joe Walsh, because I heard some background vocals in there. So I think that's really what stood out to me. And if I ever gone through Dan Fogelberg's discography, even if I just listen to Souvenirs, that's probably going to be the one biggest thing I'm going to love about it. I loved how, he got guys from the Eagles to help, with the background vocals. Because the Eagles and Dan Fogelberg kind of have like a kind of a cross in sounds, because the Eagles were more of like a softer rock band. So same thing as Dan Fogelberg. A lot of people label him kind of as like country rock, but I don't see that. I mostly just see him as like pop rock, in a sense, like softer rock. But it was really good. It was really good.
Not bad. Let's see. I got one. All right, so we're going to be going over a song off of Dan Fogelberg's, one of his albums. It is called Intimidation. All right, and we're gonna play that now. This is a pretty good song. It's one of my favorites on the album. I just got the name of the album. It's Twin Sons of Different Mothers. It's the 5th album by Dan Fogelberg. It's a collaborative album with jazz flautist Tim Weisberg, and it was released in 1978. This album has a great amount of jazz sound. As I said, it is technically considered partially a jazz album. I absolutely love the way that this album is put together. I think it's put together very well. And I think it's kind of nice to see Dan Fogelberg kind of working with people within the same space, of course, the space being music. And I think it's really cool to see an artist go from something that's more country to more soft rock to more jazz, which is kind of cool in the sense when you think that those genres have a very big play in rock as a whole. So it's very cool to see Dan Fogelberg not only just kind of perfect his own craft as a rock artist, but to also kind of expand into other genres that formed rock as we know it. What do you think of that, AJ?
I mean, I really couldn't hear it, but based on what I'm hearing, I like the percussive instruments, like the bongos kind of playing and stuff. I kind of like how he's taking the direction of, with improvisation with different instruments. I kind of like the percussive kind of like style with this song. So
sweet. Let me see. How much more can we do? Sorry, we got to keep checking the time. You just can't see it from here. Got like bad glasses.
If you want, you can show me like 2 more if you want.
All right. We are gonna do. This is one of my favorite songs. It's called "The Innocent Age," and it is. It has the same name as the album that it's from. So we're gonna show AJ "The Innocent Age" right now. There we go, AJ. This is the second. It's kind of funny that this is the song that this album is named after, yet it's the second track. It's not actually the first one. This was also one of his most successful albums. It was released in 1981. Let's see, what else? Two of the prominent contributing vocalists are Joni Mitchell and Emmylou Harris. I know of Emily.
Joni Mitchell is definitely a name that's in the female lead singer, well, female singer area. She's one of like the infamous ones. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Janis Joplin.
Do you want me to see what else she put up?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Now the last song is a song that I'm gonna play. I'll let AJ go. So.
With what?
No, it's a song that I'll go over after you say.
No, I like that song. I like again the harmonizing background vocals with the guitar, with the acoustic guitar was really nice. I like that.
All right. What's your thought?
That was my thought.
What?
About that song.
What?
The harmonizing background vocals with the nice acoustic guitar.
Not bad.
Well, that's the last song. What do you got?
The last song is it's kind of an interesting one. It actually has the name of an avian animal. You know what it is?
No.
You know what it is? Huh, crap. All right. I'm going to cut real quick, and when I find it, we're going to cut right back. All right. We found it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We have our last Dan Fogelberg song, Birds. It's my first time actually hearing the song as well. It's kind of what makes this so spectacular. Let's actually restart that. So this song holds a very significant position compared to the songs that we listened to. I would actually pin this one on the same caliber as leader of the band. It's actually my first time hearing the song too. So first off, you can definitely hear by this by his vocals that you can see that he's a lot older now. His voice is more lighter. So that's a stunning voice, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely matured.
Yep. Do you want me to tell you the big thing about this song? Would you want me to tell you while you're listening to it, or when it's over?
Maybe you know. All right, that was good. What was the major thing?
That was Dan Fogelberg's last song
Ever?
He died. Well, this album came out in 2009. He died in 2007. So this was definitely a
Posthumous.
Yep, definitely. But this was the last song, and according to, I wanted to double verify it through Google, this is the last song that Dan Fogelberg did. So it holds that special weight, and AJ indirectly gave me the idea to showcase such a song because just like leader of the band, was showcasing how, he was, I guess, assuming the role of his father to keep his legacy going on. It really kind of, hits a little harder when you realize that is his last song. So I think it was only fitting to kind of keep his legacy alive, like how he kept his father's legacy alive with leader of the band, keep his legacy alive with his last song, Birds, from his 2009 album, Love in Time. Sadly, we lost in 2007 due to, correct me if I'm wrong, prostate cancer. Yeah, it sucks because he was one of very few soft rock singers, especially solo artists. Soft rock is kind of considered, well, rock even as a whole, if you really look at it as a giant whole, it's mainly bands. You know how many people doing solo stuff anymore. Everyone has a gig with at least one other guy. At the very minimum, it's one other guy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the end of an era for that. So, yeah, I will say this real quick, and then AJ, I'm going to hand it off to you to give your final thoughts. Dan Fogelberg was one of the main things, I guess, how would I put it? His music has inspired me, especially Souvenirs, has inspired me to go and check out the Eagles. I've never been a huge Eagles fan, but considering that there is Eagles ties to this, and hearing Dan Fogelberg's amazing voice with what could otherwise be described as Eagles instrumental beats, basically, very similar. It makes me kind of want to really go check out the Eagles. So I might end up having a, kind of cross-check the Eagles. Give them a shot. What do you think, AJ? What do you think of these songs?
They were good. Dan Fogelberg, well, is a better change.
Better change.
See what I did there? No, but I think he was an artist from the soft rock era of rock. I keep saying that. The soft rock area that is very unique. I never, at first, when you would play him, when you showed me him before, I kind of never expect, okay, he has a good voice and everything. And then Better Change made me respect him a little bit more. And then even these songs, the tribute to his father, was really good. Comes to show a guy who actually is very talented. Yeah, he may get compared to certain artists, but he kind of stayed in his own lane. And, that last song you showed me, the one that, was his last song, until his death. His voice matured or not, he has a very unique style, and he's definitely stayed true to himself. With help of the Eagles, another popular soft rock act, definitely he stayed in his own lane. So I would say that Dan Fogelberg is very underappreciated.
I'll say that. Not bad. So I guess that's it for this Allan&Hoostan&Who. This was actually really fun. I'm not gonna lie. Going through Dan Fogelberg. Now, of course, I went through, the first 4 or 5 songs, but that last one I have never heard before. So that was a very real reaction from me and AJ. And I figured, you know what? We're doing Allan&Hoostan&Who. Let's actually, end off the legacy. Well, not end off the legacy, but end off the video, with the end of Dan Fogelberg's discography. Yeah, definitely gonna have to get on the ball and try and finish it. Get to Birds. So yeah. Without further ado, let's end it off. So obviously I'm Hoostan, and that's
Allan.
And we will see you in the next one. See you guys in a month again. Bye. We're always late to these things.